From 1294 to 1789, that is, until the French Revolution, people were to follow the sumptuary laws. Now, as per the sumptuary laws, the people of France were bound to wear clothes, consume food and beverages, and hunt only according to the stratum of society they belonged to. The social rank of a person defined the amount of money he or she could spend on purchasing clothes in an year, the fabric or material he or she could purchase. That means expensive materials like ermine and fur, or silk, velvet and brocade were reserved only for the royal class. This ended after the French Revolution. For example, during the French Revolution, the Jacobins started wearing clothes without knee breeches and started calling themselves sans-culottes to distinguish themselves with the aristocrats. Loose and comfortable clothing colored white, blue and red were popular as they were a sign of patriotism. The red cap of liberty, long trouser and the revolutionary cockade pinned onto a hat were also some of the common political symbols adopted. Most of the clothes were kept simply to reflect the idea of equality. But was clothing purely political and social? No. Unsurprisingly, it was also influenced by gender and the idea of beauty. Even after the end of the sumptuary laws, everyone in Europe did not dress in the same way. French Revolution brought an end to the privileges of the higher classes, but differences in clothing and food remained. This was not because of some law, but because of the economic constraints of the poor. They simply could not afford the same things. The difference in clothing styles also continued to be on the basis of gender, where women in Victorian England were expected to be docile, dutiful, submissive and obedient. They were to be prepared to bear pain and sufferings. On the other hand, the men were expected to be serious, strong, independent and aggressive. Girls from their childhood were laced up tightly and dressed in stays, which helped in keeping their bodies straight and restricted their body growth. As they grew, they were made to wear tight-fitting corsets to give support and shape to their body, making them what people considered attractive, elegant and graceful. Since most women were brought up to believe that their duty lay in looking elegant and presentable, many women grew up adhering to those norms. However, many others revolted. Let's see women's reaction to these norms. By the 1830s, women in England started their fight for democratic rights. One of the campaigns they started was dress reformation for women. It was proven that the tight dresses and corsets hindered blood circulation and led to deformities and other illnesses in girls. Because of the tight dresses, muscles were not developed to the fullest and the spine used to get bent. Many women complained to doctors regarding weakness and regular fainting problems. A similar movement was seen among the white settlers on the East Coast in America. There, women criticized traditional clothes due to a variety of reasons. For example, long skirts were so long that they swept on the ground, carrying dirt and filth that resulted in illness. In addition, these long skirts were difficult to handle because of their size and were considered the reason women could not work, earn their living and become independent. In 1870, the National Women's Suffrage Association, headed by Mrs. Stanton, and the American Women's Suffrage Association, headed by Lucy Stone, initiated several dress reforming campaigns. Both sides of the Atlantic wanted simplified dress and short skirts and wanted to abandon corsets. They suffered dismissive behavior and opposition. Those who gave up traditional dressing norms were no longer considered beautiful or graceful. They were seen to have lost their femininity. Many women re-adopted traditional clothes after facing objections. However, these events did initiate change and people now began to accept the idea of reforms. The reforms also managed to transform the conventional idea of beauty and were successful in planting the seeds of new values by the end of the 19th century. Now, what were these values that were introduced by these women? What were the reforms that made life easier for their descendants?
Tutormate. For more amazing video lectures, download the free app on Apple App Store or Google Play Store